the Element Barber.
This is Joey. This is Joey the barber, and we got right here our special guest today is Kevin.
Kevin, give a shout out, Kevin. Can you tell us a little more about you? What's your name?
My name is Kevin. I'm a beginner.
Full name, full name.
Called Kevin Lopez, and I'm a beginner barber here in the Fay Lab.
Okay, for sure. Just keep it right there. We're gonna get in more into
Yeah.
how we met Kevin. So today's topic, what is it, Joey? What are we calling this topic today?
Today's topic is called gratitude. I think it's a good way as we're ending the year to just talk about everything that we've been through this whole year. Just a gratitude of everything that God's done in our life and that He's done in our business, and kind of just go off of that. Like everyone out there, we just want to let you guys know that no matter what you're going through, it's always good to be grateful of everything God's leading you towards.
Yeah, and always remember, guys, that this podcast we try to make it as raw as possible. So we have nothing script or anything like that. We try to be as more organic to you guys and bring you guys ourselves, our
Yeah.
daily, every weekly, things that we have that we learned throughout, the week, the month, the year. So I want to start it out, Joey. What are the things that you can say that you're grateful for this 2024? We are about to enter a 2025 just because this is our last podcast for this year,
Uh-huh.
just because we're gonna have a busy week. So
Yeah. So just things I'm grateful for this year. A little correction: 2025. We're going to 2026.
there you go, man.
And
I even lost knowledge of
hey,
the year,
that's
man.
sometimes you just be so grateful you lose track of time, man.
Yes.
And one thing that I am grateful for this year, I would say, is coming to Christ. Because I could say all 2024, for majority of it, I was living a lifestyle that was not of Christ. I was drinking, I was smoking, I was partying, I was doing stuff I shouldn't. It was affecting my business. It was affecting my career. I was losing clients. I was just felt like I was getting spiritually drained, and I was dealing with a lot of emotional baggage, a lot of spiritual warfare for a lot of years. So when 2025, like I said, I started going to church July 2024, got baptized September 2024, but 2025 is really when I committed myself to church. And I told Victor, you know what? I'm going to give it a full year. I'm going to be planted in the house of God. I'm going to let them work in me. And whatever they need, whatever God asked me to do, I'm going to be obedient. And the moment I started being obedient, God opened the doors. This year I was allowed to teach at a barber school, Riverside. Shout out to Eminence Academy, Barber Academy in Riverside. Shout out to Fern. I was able to teach at a barber school. We were able to move shops. Shout out to Frank. I was there for a year, and at that shop, I learned a lot of good business habits, a good mentorship, just kind of prepped me for this season of ownership. And I'm also thankful for Keith. Shout out to Out the Box Workshops. He allowed me to do workshops in middle schools, high school, all through the LA County, Compton District, Glenwood District. We're just doing workshops for middle school kids, barber workshops. As something that we're working on too. We're continuing to work on, and we're going to come out with a program for 2026. I'm not going to speak too much about it because it's still in the works, but we got great things coming for barbers. And one of the missions that God kind of called me to is to mentorship and teach the new barber generation. So I'm just grateful for the things God's allowing me to do in that. And also for God to blessing me, with new car and God blessed me at our church. This year was called the year of Joy and Jubilee, and it was a year where we'll be taking out of debt. Will be family restoration. We will be increasing our finances. We will start to live a more healthier life. So one thing too, I was able to, God was able to restore relationships with my family, with my brothers, my sister, and start spending more time with each other. He got me out of debt. He got me a new car, and also too, like God's blessed us with His business.
Yeah.
So man, this year's been so crazy. I can't. There's so much that I'm grateful for because a year ago I was in a wholly different place. I was in a dark area. I was in a dark space mentally, spiritually, and Victor seen me like, man, I was drained. I was tired. I was crying out to man. I literally cried out to God. I was like, God, whatever you need me to do, like I want to change. I want to be a different person. I'm tired of living the way I'm living. And literally, God started working immediately once I started obeying everything that I was told. And and literally just the obedience and faith. Like I just gave it to God. And a certain, if there's someone out there that's like, man, I don't know if I'm ready to just make that full commitment. I can tell you from my personal testimony that I'm just grateful that I allowed myself to be obedient, not have pride, not have ego, and just ask for help. And God's definitely changed me.
Man, that's a really powerful testimony, Joey, that I actually seen. I have the privilege to work, alongside with you, and I seen your growth. That's one thing I always say.
Mhm.
I'm really grateful for the people that sometimes you get to meet throughout along the way. Like you said, we had a lot of life experiences,
Yeah,
but there's something that this year, now that we're, talking about it, we see how much, we done throughout, like a lot of things that we done throughout the year.
yeah,
But what is that like, I want to ask you this, and what was that encounter, if you could call it, with God, that made you wake up, have a wake up call? Why I want to ask you this, because then there's a lot of people out there,
yeah,
maybe they look at our podcast and they say, man, you guys talk about God, or I mean, to me, I always say it's a relationship, it's a lifestyle. I'm not a religious person, like I always say, in respect to everybody leaves, I don't want to offend anybody.
yeah.
But what was that, encounter that you had, and you said, I had enough this year. I want to start making these changes. And what has maintained you to stay in that lane? Because it's really hard to maintain in that lane.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I'm gonna give you uh, a little snippet of my testimony. I apologize in advance if I get a little emotional because I'm just grateful. Like I said, I'm very grateful where God's taking me out of. It was last year, July 7th, 2024. I can remember as clear as day because it's the day before my birthday. My birthday's July 8th, and that was the first day I went back to church after so many years. And at that time, like I was literally, like I said, I was in a mentally dark place. Growing up, I had a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. Parents passed away my dad when I was 4. My mom passed away when I was 9. So I grew up with no parents. And growing up like that, I just grew up a very angry kid. A lot of mental problems where I didn't tell anyone. I would bottle everything up, and that led to a lot of sin. That led to me just starting to drink, starting to smoke, and try holding all those feelings, holding all those emotions, and it literally brought a lot of trauma. And growing up like that, as I started getting further in my career, growing up, trying to grow up to be a man. I didn't have the principles of God. I didn't know what it meant to be a man of God. I didn't know what it meant to even just be a man. And growing and that led to a lot of influences in my life that was leading me down a dark path. And as I got in the barber career, I was chasing the money, I was chasing the clout, I was chasing the wrong things at the time, and it started to bottle up. You just man, when I didn't come to Christ, so I was 27. So you guys could imagine all those years of pain and anger that I had built up. It was like a backpack that was weighing on me. So when I literally that day before my birthday, my brother Victor right here, man, he was telling me to go to God for over a year. He was preaching to me. We were working at a shop right here, Global Cuts Barbershop in Linwood, and he was telling me, man, you got to go to church. You got to go to church. And finally, I listened to him. And at that moment, like I was going through a very bad relationship, and I was not having a good relationship at home. My clientele was losing, and I literally felt like I needed something. And Victor, at the right time, he told me, you got to go to church. So I was like, put my pride aside. I put my ego aside. I tried to do everything off my own strength, but it got to a point where I was getting exhausted, wore out, and I went to church that first service, July 7th, 2024. And shout out to my pastor, Pastor Jason at Freedom City Church. He told me that message of that day was if he. I remember that he called he did his service and everything, and he got to the point in the message where he was talking about rest for the soul, and he gave the call. He said, if anyone in the room out here is just going through a hard time, is someone that really wants rest in their soul and their spirit, is your time to call out to God. Is your time to accept the call to accept Christ in your life. And I remember that day, man. I started crying for like 20 minutes straight in the service. Like I couldn't stop crying. I felt this presence on me. I felt something that like just broke, and I ran up to the altar. My friend right there, one of my clients was actually going to Freedom City Church, and he went with me, and I received the prayer of salvation. I gave myself to Christ that day, and that day was the first day in many years that I've cried. I've always prided myself of being, very tough, very hard, cold hearted. I would never cry, but that day I just started crying like a baby, and I encountered Jesus. I got saved that day, and from that day I decided, like, I'm gonna just give myself to God. 2 months later, I got baptized September 1st, 2024. And that was the day where I let go of all shame. God restored me. I was born new into the spirit. Anything that I had gone through in my head, any combination, any spirits that I was dealing with, it was like a fresh restart. Like I literally that day was so emotional for me. I started crying again. My brother Victor, he attended. He saw me cry, and I told him, man, I feel like a new person. Like I let go of all the shame I was carrying for so many years, all the pain of growing up as a child without my parents, and literally like it was like a fresh new start for me. And I told myself, man, I just want to give myself to God, and I just want to restore, and I'm gonna trust every process that He had for me. And from that moment on, from when I got baptized, September, October, November, like all those months after that, that's when I started to see God's blessing and acceleration come so fast. That's when I got offered the teaching gig at Eminence Barber Academy. That's when I started getting more gigs to do more workshops in middle schools and high schools. And literally, my clientele started to rise up again. And I started seeing God start working in my life, just little by little. And He started opening up doors I never thought that He'll open up. And it just had to do with his principles, and I got planted at my church. The lifestyle classes, we call them lifestyle freedom. I started going there. It was, and the thing I love about my church, that it was very structured. That once I got saved, I got taught how to pray. I got taught the lessons of God, how to live a lifestyle with God. And little by little, man, I just started changing the person I was. I stopped drinking. I cut smoking. I cut partying. I cut all the stuff that was negative for me. And I started giving myself to God. And once it came around to the New Year's, we have moved to another shop right here, Frank's Barber Shop, and that's when that new wave, that new mentality kicked in, where it's like, you know what? Now what can I give back? This is a new season. What can I do with God? And literally, God started opening many doors as far as like getting ready for our business, getting ready for to get out of debt. Clientele was rising up again. I started serving at my church. I started giving at my church. Started being more involved, more planted, and just seeing God bring more joy out of me. He literally took off all the negative and restored it. Like I can finally say now that I'm in an area where I'm peaceful. I have rest in my spirit. I'm so happy every day. I have joy. There's not one thing that I stress about daily, because I know I have my prayer life with God. I know that He has everything in store for me. Like I guess can't tell you guys enough that God has restored me in every area of my life. That's my family, my finances, my health, my business, my career. Like he's definitely started working on me, and I'm just so grateful for this year, man. Because just to say, there's a lot of darkness that I came from, and it gets me emotional, man. Because I come from the struggle. I come from doing everything on my own, putting myself to barber school, paying for everything on my own, and finally it was a moment where I was able to ask for help, and I needed that for so many years, and finally I was able to fill that void, Vic, and it was definitely the best choice I ever did.
Man, that's like you said, this is the best choice more than any graduation, more than any,
Hmm.
feeling for you get your dream house, your dream car, whatever. I think this is the best decision that you took, and we seen it. I seen it. People that have been around you seen it, and that's so powerful. Barbers out there, one thing that I want to share with you guys as well is sometimes we're so focused on making so much money. You could charge double, from what you charge, but that's not gonna make you money. I believe, like my brother Joey was saying that, it has to be a change within. If the change is within, everything starts coming in smooth. You get me? So it's like you have to make switches in yourself first in order
Hmm.
for to see God's blessings. And that's something that a lot of people, we have, sometimes as human beings, we have baggages that we're carrying that we're not willing to give it to the Lord just because of pride or what they're gonna think. One thing I was gonna say to barbers out there: the blueprint to make more money and work less is need to have your life aligned with God. I'm not telling you to be perfect because no one is perfect. I'm not perfect,
Hmm.
but it's to have a relationship with God. And this year I believe, you're grateful for such a thing that really changed your life and is changing your life. Like you said, God's, she's like he took the time, and what was meant to be in 10 years, he gave it to you within a year, and that's
Hmm.
really powerful. This is things that we are grateful for. One thing that I want to say, that I'm grateful for as well, same thing for Joey. For my in my situation, I was going through financial issues, to a point where Joey saw that, and like I said, we're raw, and we're raw in this podcast to a point where I was, doing Instacart in order to get to survive. There was times that I
Mhm.
was just living with $10, off the whole week, and I never pictured myself to be in a business here today and be able to say, you know what, here's the keys for the business. The day that we opened the business, man, I feel like dude, I started crying as well, bro. It's like,
Yeah.
how can I? Like for real, like God, how, why did you choose me, and thank you for all the struggles that never understood, all the struggles that I was going through in order to be here today. Why? Because I learned to appreciate, to always depend on Him.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I'm thankful for this year. And there's a lot of many things that I'm thankful for. Why? Because I have a better relationship now with God. Like you said, we're coming out of debt. I'm coming out of debt. God is opening, doors where I never thought He was gonna open. Like chances are given onto me, and that's I understood that that's called favor.
Yeah.
And that favor is the grace that God gives you. Because with if it were of my own strength, we would never be able to be here today. And I
Mhm.
always thank the Lord for, be able to have me here alive, be able to, my parents be able to see me, have my
Mhm.
business, something that I always dreamt about too, and God put us in our way. Why? Because we both almost have similar, testimonies of childhood. Maybe Joey didn't have his parents, and that's something really powerful. Then you're gonna impact people that when they hear this. But to me, I come from a place where we're literally living in an abandoned car for almost a year, bro. And growing up in Guatemala, it's like, bro, like literally, like mama had to go wash clothes and everything in order to give
Mhm.
us a plate of food for a table. But you know what's good? That at the end of the day, I learned to depend on God. So
Yeah.
2025, it's been a year of learning, of a lot of maturing for me, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in 2026. Because if God was able to do this year, I'm pretty sure that 2026, if we keep continuing, being firm, like Joey said, always stay firm into prayer and all that. Trust me, there could be 10 shops around us, and may God bless every shop around us, because we
Yeah.
don't we don't want like
There's no
them to.
envy,
There's no envy or
yeah.
anything, but God will always provide when it comes to opening our business and anything that we do.
Yeah, and just being more grateful for everything God's allowing us to come into, like I said, maturity. Like there's a mature growth spiritually that me and Victor have went through this year, where we know it's not about us. Like I could say now that God has been healed me, He's restored me, and He has put me in a position now. Like He's blessing me in a position where I'm healed. Now He's putting me in the challenge now. Who's the next person I'm gonna heal? Who's the next soul that I'm gonna save? Because like once you get to a spiritual presence where you receiving a lot of healing, you got to heal the next person. You got to heal someone else that's probably going through what you were where you were going through. And I'm truly grateful that that God even trusts me to put people in my life. Just like our Kevin right here, where
Just
I met him at an event like probably like 3 weeks ago. It was a turkey drive event, and he just came up to me, and literally I saw a kid right there that was just hungry. Like he wanted to learn how to cut hair. He sat down in my chair. He was a little quiet, a little timid. He started cutting his hair. His mom told him, "Oh, go get your hair cut." And I cut his hair and everything. And at the end, I was like, "Cool, like, hey, good haircut, like, like, nice to meet you." And he was about to walk off, but I could sense that he wanted to tell me something. So he walks back to me and he's like, "Hey, do you teach how to cut hair? Like, I want to learn how to cut hair." And I just saw a kid that he was reaching out for help, and I'm like, man, just looking at his age, I didn't even ask him his age at that point. Like, I remember, man, this guy's 17, 18, 19. He's a little youngster. But I told him, yeah, bro, if you want to learn how to cut hair, here's my Instagram. We exchange informations. And I told him to come by the shop. Come by the shop if you're serious. I'll help guide you. And he came. Now Monday he came, and literally from there I was like, oh, this guy's serious. This kid's serious, And I told him, gave him the breakdown. I was like, hey, brother, like I was a barber instructor. I've helped many barbers before, mentor barbers. All you gotta do is listen and do to the wisdom, and just follow my instruction, and I'll guide you in every sense. And you know it it got me a little emotional because, like I said, like just seeing him is like, man, I remember when I was 19, I was 20. I wish someone would have guided me. I wish someone would have stuck out their hand and be like, hey, man, this is what you got to do. You want to do in business, all you got to do is this, and that. And I feel like God let me go through all those trials, all those tribulations. Everything that I went through was to make it easier for the next generation, for the next person. And it's like God's blessed me to be a blessing for the next person. And I told Kevin, like, hey, all you gotta do is follow the mentorship. We're gonna work on every area of your life. You're gonna get closer to God. You're gonna go into barber school. I'm not gonna have you work with us if you're not gonna be listening. So, man, since day one, he's been listening. Day one, he's been showing up every single day. He doesn't say no to anything, and I give him credit because
Mhm.
not a lot of people put aside their ego to listen to someone's
Mhm.
advice. A lot of people want to get something their way. A lot of people want to get advice their way. They want a solution their way. And that's one thing you got to do if you're ever succeed, if you're going to go into the new year being grateful, is you got to learn to let your pride go. You got to learn to let your ego go. If someone's going to help you out, you got to do it their way. Because if your way was working, you would have already had success. You wouldn't need advice. But if
Yep.
you're someone that needs advice and needs guidance, you need to put your ego aside and you need to just follow what the person's saying. And that's one key that I feel like Kevin has seen, that we don't only speak through words, but we speak through action.
Yeah.
I tell him, if you do this, I'm gonna do my part as a mentor. I'm gonna do my part as an instructor. I'm gonna do my part. If I told you I'm gonna guide you and protect you in every area of this business, then you're gonna see that physically. You're gonna see me going to him, teaching him, and spending time with him and pouring into him. That's the difference. And he's submitted, and no ego with him, and he's been learning. He's been growing. He's been coming to church, and right now you guys gonna hear kind of his side of how he feels, and pretty much see like his part of the testimony. Like, this is not just to glorify ourselves. Like, this is all through God. God's allowing us to build this space for young teens, for like me and Victor said, we're on a mission. We're on a mission to help the next generation, next barbers. I'm not trying to get clout. I'm not trying to be
Hmm.
the main one. Like, no, I want to build the next barbers. I want to see them grow. I want to see them successful. Like, that brings me joy. I feel like that's what God's called me to do, and I'm just being obedient to the mission. And it brings me peace. It brings me joy to see the next person grow. And yeah, like, I don't know, Vic, there's some
No, the
question.
preach it, brother.
Yeah,
Preach it.
yeah.
That's how it is. Um, throughout the time we've seen, people wanting to be part of the team. But I
Mhm.
always say, we become really picky just because, not because of the quality of work, it's the work ethic that you have. And that's
Mhm.
something that we found with Kevin. So Kevin, I'll be doing the interviews today to you, okay? So Kevin, tell us a little about yourself. How did barbering came into you? How was it that you knew? Because there's a lot of youngsters out there that are your same age, and maybe they're having that doubt, like, hey, should I go in? Should I do it? What is it that I need? So can you tell us a little bit kind of about yourself, where you come from? I know Kevin is also, a good boxer. So tell us a little bit of experience, once you met Joey, and a little bit when you came here. So the mic is all yours, brother.
Well, 3 weeks ago, that's where I met Joey and everything. But let's go back a year ago. I graduated high school. I was doing side hustles. I didn't like it. I was empty. I I didn't know what to do. And then I found barbering, but I was doing it my way. Like, I didn't know how to cut. I would do a cut once a week or once a month. It depends, like, on the person. But every night I remember I wouldn't pray, but I would say it in my head, to God. I would be calling to God, like what can I do to change? Like, because I was just depressed. I had anxiety. I was just, yeah, I was losing myself. I was getting fat. And everything, like, and then this, coming back to around November, that's where I met Joey. At first I wasn't gonna ask him. I was gonna just leave, and then just leave with my mom's stuff because they were giving out food and everything. I was just gonna leave and just chill at home. But then I look at my mom. I remember I looked at her and she was like, "Just ask him, like, ask him." So I asked him, you know, and I'm here now.
It's like something told you, like, go ahead and do that. So imagine if you would have had that fear, and wouldn't listen to your heart, and you would have never. I believe that, think that's what I say. God, things happen for a purpose. I always say that nothing happens for a coincidence. There's a purpose behind everything that we go through. So as you I was hearing Kevin, something in him was telling him, but he was basically in his mind. He didn't have that encounter with God yet, but something God was already planting in him. He already had that purpose. So he says, "I want an answer." And there's a lot of people that are your age, Kevin, that honestly they're out there right now, and they're probably like finding, what am I gonna do with my life? I had the same question to myself. When I was your age, I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? And that's why, when, like you said, I believe that when the first time I saw Kevin and he started coming, I started seeing myself in you. And I always told him, man, I see myself in you, Kevin. Like, I started the same way, so don't give up. And you came, you met Joey. You met Joey, and now how has you being around Joey has helped you so far to where you are now? Like, how's he helped you in a sense where, like, what have you grown in? What are things that are changing in your life now?
I mean, I feel more joyful, more happier. Like 3 weeks ago, I'll be silent. Now I'm more talkative. I'm more open and everything.
Hmm.
Like I've been listening and doing. Everything's been going on track. Literally the first week, I signed up for school. I started school. You know, everything's been
That
going good.
that's
Those
no,
three
that
weeks,
is so
like
true, Kevin.
I
And
feel
look,
like.
today you are here recording a podcast. And that's the beautiful thing about life, and having God in your life. In the sense where, like, we knew you wanted it, right away, the importance of having a mentorship. So my boy Joey's more like good at that. He's good at mentoring. That's his thing. His experience with, developing new barbers is so, something that I admire. And I always tell him, hey bro, like, you're really good at this. And my gifts are something different, but at the end of the day, if we combine them together, dude, they're like a bomb. But for my question is, Kevin, so now that you're under Joey's mentorship, ha- it has helped you in a barber area, and it also has helped you in your daily life. How has that changed in your daily life, and how can you apply it to the barber industry?
I mean, I feel like I've grown more. You know, like like Joey told me, you gotta. He's been giving out me, he's been giving out the cards to me. Been going outside, passing them out. Been more open. It's been working.
So
Like
you seen it by
like
living testimony. That's what
yeah.
it is. Like, he's preaching you not just with the words, but he's
Mhm,
showing you the road. He's preaching you with actions. So, Kevin, my question to you is, how do you see yourself 2026? What are your goals for this 2026? But before,
mhm.
what are you grateful for this 2025? And what are your new, goals for 2026?
I mean, I'm grateful for meeting both of you guys for this year. Next year, hopefully I start cutting more. I start getting better. I start getting closer to God. I'm still learning about God, but I feel like He's been working on me.
Yeah, and it's baby steps, Kevin. And I always say, it's not that we're not forcing you to God. It's been a relationship that you're having daily. What is that? You have been having an encounter that's been helping you, that I always see every single day. You come willing to learn. You're here, you're happy. Your resemblance changes in a sense where, like, that there's something special in you. We had moments that after the podcast where we record, guys, that that there's a beautiful presence that falls, and we're all crying. Us three would end up crying, because that's how organic this is, Kevin. So your 2026, you say you want to be cutting more. And how do you see yourself within that year of barbering? It's like always said, it's gonna be a bumpy road,
Mhm.
but how are you gonna execute to become that barber that you want to be?
Well, right now I'm listening to
Yeah.
listening to um hopefully in I say like a month. I feel like hopefully I get the cuts down. I already remember the steps and everything, but now I want to like start promoting myself when I hit 3 months. You get me?
Oh,
I want
nice.
to do that. But if my cuts are decent, if they aren't decent, then I'll wait another month.
No, but you know what? I
You know?
believe, and people that are watching me remember this day, Kevin. I know that from here to 6 months, you're gonna be so good, bro.
Mhm.
And there's not gonna be a if, because we're gonna make sure that you get to that level of barbering in a sense where I want you to be more booked than me. His goal is to you be more booked than him for the next generation. Like he said something, really honest and it's true. And it says it's the legacy that's gonna live on. What is the first thing that we told you here, Kevin? Our goal is to what?
Get better than both of you guys and open my own shop in the
Get
future.
better and open your own shop in the future. And this is part of the process, Kevin. Look, 2026, I believe that God is gonna start opening a lot of doors for you. You're having the wisdom to learn, and you already have the key. So barbers out there, like have the leave the pride aside. It doesn't make you less of a man when somebody else tells you. Something that I learned in life is that when somebody that's older, now that I'm older, and now I remember the advices that maybe my grandfather used to give me at the time, and now I apply them into my life. But imagine if somebody would tell you that's been in the game for so long and tells you don't do that, and if you get irritated and if you get mad, then you're losing at that point. So one thing, Kevin, that I know that you're growing so fast is because you're obeying. The key to grow as a barber is obedience and just doing. And tell us a little more. How was your encounter with God? How do you feel now that you're going to a church? Like I noticed that you've been going to church. I noticed that you're not just barbering here, but you've been helping at church. Now you're being, part of a community and helping the community out there. So tell us a little more about that.
Well, I remember last week when we had a group, I felt presence of God, like after everything was done, everyone started praying with each other, and like I just felt I just felt that He was there, like He was holding me, like
Hmm.
like like I was just He was just there. You get me? Like I felt
Yeah,
like crying,
yeah.
but I just felt a warm hug, like He just covered that up. You
Mm.
get me? And then it just
You
it's
had your part of healing. That's what
yeah.
I that's that was the key for Kevin's restoration. The beginning of a new start, of a new journey, it starts with the healing. Because deep inside, we could cover up, we could go on IG and pretend that we're happy, but deep inside, only you know what are your struggles, what are you going through. But you learn at a young age to put your pride aside and say, you know what, I need help. I need that help that no one can fulfill. Not alcohol, not drugs, not parties. That void that nobody could fulfill. You found you know, that hug from the Lord, from God, that He said, "Hey, I'm here. I've always been here." So tell us, how's your experience now that you're about to get baptized too? So if you guys don't know, Kevin's about to get baptized. You guys are invited for the date. We don't know when is the date. Do you have any date?
It's the seventh. Yeah, the seventh, the fourth, the fourth.
January 4th. What time is the service? 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. So make sure you guys want to go see Kevin's resurrection, dead and resurrection. That's the day. I always told you, this is when God's gonna, you're gonna be born again all over. You're the old man is gonna die, and you're gonna come out as a new man. So, Kevin, now that you're at church and now that you see change in yourself, how is your experience now helping out in church, and how do you see yourself being used by God?
Well, to be honest,
Be honest. This is
I mean, right now I'm still learning about God, so I don't know how He's gonna work with me right now. So I'm gonna just let Him do Him for now. Like
okay.
I'm gonna do listen and do the same thing as well with
Yeah.
Him, and then yeah,
That is the
just
key. I mean, and I get Kevin. Kevin is somebody, like you said. He was being really quiet, but he's going the right path. Like I wish I could have been in Kevin's age as well, and said to myself, you know what, like I want to get close to God the same way that he's doing it. And Kevin, like I always said, the key is to keep persevering, keep seeking God, keep always putting God first, and everything will be added on to you. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "First seek the kingdom first, and then everything will be His kingdom, His righteousness, and then everything will be added on to you." What does that mean? If you seek for Him first, He knows what are the desire of your hearts, and He's going to give it on to you. So the people that are watching me, guys, this is not the first time that we're gonna have Kevin here first, and eventually we're gonna see more people developing because we're also learning the same way he's learning. It's baby steps, the same way we are learning, even as a business owners. We're learning even every single day on how to be a leader, how to be a mentor, in the game, and that's what we're trying to, aspire and grow together.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. Like it says, the Matthew 6:33 was it seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto him. It says right there, seek first.
Hmm.
Does it say seek second? And does it say do that business first? Do go in that relationship first, then go seek God? No, it says seek God first. And I think that's the thing that people want to do, that they want to seek God their way. And Kevin's the example of that. He's seeking God first. And that's the reason why he's working with us. Because we were very blunt with him when he signed up. I'm like, hey, we're not gonna work with you if God's not in the middle. The same way me and Victor do business,
Hmm.
you're gonna be in our space. You're gonna be in our standard, and it might come off very straightforward. It might come very direct. But it's because we know God's guiding us. So there's no bad thing that we're gonna lead Kevin. I'm not telling Kevin, oh, you're gonna drink with us. You're gonna do drugs with. No, no. We're telling, hey, you're gonna work on your finances. You're gonna get closer to God. You're gonna build your career. You're gonna get established. You're gonna get planted in the house. We're guiding him through every area of his life. It's not just barbering. It's his every area as far as his finances, his mentality, his shifting his brain to have a business owner mentality.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of things that come with that, and it all starts with seeking first the kingdom. And he's seen it. Everything's being added onto him. He started barber school. He should be done next year around May, June. So he's gonna be barber licensed by July, going into August. So we're excited for him, man. He's gonna get
Yep.
baptized January 1st, starting the new year, and he's also gonna start our lifestyle classes. So he's gonna be learning how to live a lifestyle with God, and I'm excited for him. Like literally everything that God has done for us is doing for Kevin, and that's
Yes,
the
yes,
beautiful part of
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Kevin, for sharing this with us today. I know you're a man of a few words, but those few words have a high impact. So eventually, you're going to be developing more and more, And now that I have Joey in the mic, Joey, what can you tell people out there? A lot of people kind of wait for the New Year's
Hmm.
resolutions to start, doing the things. This is the season in January is where we see gyms packed, we see everybody starting their own thing. But what is the key to consistency and to stay motivated? And maybe do you agree with them to start into January or start today, start now?
Uh,
When?
I would say start ASAP immediately. Like you said, like we were talking about the last couple podcasts, is that you got to be intentional. You got to prepare, because when you're intentional and you have the right preparation, God's going to accelerate it just like that. And I am truly believing in my faith. The same way we opened this barbershop, we didn't have anything ready. Now the finances were agreed, but we have faith. We're like, you know what? God's calling me to do this. There's people out there. If we would have never taken that step of faith to just open up this barbershop, I would have never met Kevin.
Hmm.
And there's many other barbers right now working under us. And like shout out to Erwin. He watches this.
Reverend Rock,
Another barber that's
Reverend
working with
Rock.
us, and same thing. The same thing with Kevin, with Erwin, and we're telling, hey brother, you're gonna get planted with us. But blood, there's a certain standard. We're gonna put God first. We're gonna work a certain way, and we're gonna see God's glory be shown through us. Like I said, it's not to glorify me or Victor. It's just to glorify God. And like I said,
Hmm.
another tip for people: start now. Start writing your goals. Start setting intentions. Start for 2026. If you're trying to start that new thing, you're trying to go into a new season of finances. You're trying to grow with God. You gotta seek Him now. Because why wait for something when you could have it already? Like I said, people want to wait till they're perfect. God doesn't call you to be perfect. He says, "Come as you are." And literally that means come as you are. If you drink every day, go to church. If you
Hmm.
smoke every day, go to church. If you're like, man, I'm
Hmm.
sitting there daily on the weekend, I'm
That's
still
how I
partying,
want you.
still go to church. God wants you
Yeah,
to come the way
yeah,
you are, because that's why he gets to glorify himself.
yeah, yeah.
If he could get someone out there that you're probably struggling mentally, spiritually, you're like, man, I want God, but I don't know how to seek him. Well, same way Kevin, like you get connected with people that are in church. He came to one of my Bible studies, and he saw the presence of God. You guys heard a testimony, and now he feels joy. He doesn't feel like a dark cloud around him. He feels more happy. He feels like he's being guided the right way. And so out there, if you're hearing this, get closer to God. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's the main thing. Like let go of the pride, let go of the ego, and start doing the things right. Ask people for help. Like you said, if you need help on your building your goals, ask us. If you need help on, like, hey man, I'm not doing barber, but I want guidance and mentorship. Like, hey, we offer that too. We're like I said, we're not just barbers. We're men of God, and we want to help people in all areas of their life, and we do it through God's way. And that's pretty much how you said, like, that's how you get started in 2026. Start with God, get planted, and start devoting yourself and living by the word, and you're gonna see him. And same thing what Victor told me a year ago. He said, give God a year. If he doesn't change your life, come back and talk to me.
But commit to him.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key. I'll give a year, but commit to him. Die to yourself. Die to your pleasures that not taking you good. And look, this is the way to grow and in the industry and your personal life, guys. So by that being said, guys, that was it for today. We just wanted to bring you guys something, this week to to end up the year, telling you guys that we are grateful even for the viewers, for our clientele who always watches us and support us, guys. And above all things, we are grateful for God for having us here, for people that are coming in. So I want to thank everybody who's watching us, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, and I
Thank you,
hope that
guys.
2026 comes, with a lot of blessings, and above all things, not just the blessings, but with a lot of wealth. And start doing now. You don't wait for January. Start doing the changes now. And we hope that you have happy holidays, that you guys have a wonderful time with your loved ones. And if you guys have your loved ones, make sure to spend time with them and enjoy them, because
Amen.
tomorrow is not being for sure for us or for anybody out there.
Mhm.
So live life today. I always want to say, live life like if it was your last day. Like if God were to come today for you and you live that life, giving it to the Lord, always giving your best, always giving excellence to every barber out there. If you've been cutting for a long time, keep giving that good service, keep representing, the love that God has put in you. Anything you want to tell them out there,
Uh,
Joey, for this
just
last?
hope the happy holidays for everyone. Like you said, enjoy the time with your family for Christmas, New Year's. This is our last podcast for the year. But like I said, we're ending it off with gratitude. We're grateful
Mhm.
for where God's taking us out of. We're grateful where God's leading us into. And next year, I could only say, man, there's a lot of big things coming. Like I said, we look to expand our shop, and we're looking to open Bible studies here at the shop next year. So, like I said, if you're out there, if you're looking to get closer to God, feel free to hit us up in the comments. Send us a message on Instagram, Joey the Barber, Victor DLMN Barber. We're in all areas, Bell, Downey, Whittier.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter about the location. If you're trying to see God, we will guide you towards that. And also, if you're new, like I said, you're younger, you want to get into barbering, you want to learn, hey, what's the steps? How do I get into school? What shop can I work at? Hey, man, we're opening our shop for people that want to grow with God and also
Mhm.
want to grow in their barbering. So we're opening that door for 2026. Now, if you want to be the first ones getting into those spots, because spots are getting filled up,
Yes,
we're getting
yes.
a lot of people hitting us up. But again, we're very picky. We're not letting anyone just work with us. It's not to glorify me and Victor that we're being, all
Yeah.
this. No, we want to work with the right people, and we want to know that God's in the middle. So if you're out there, just hit us up. Let's start 2026 right and with God first, and obviously in every area of our lives.
Amen.
Amen.
And by that being said, we ended up this podcast, guys.
Amen.
So thank you for watching. Always keep subscribing. Hit the
Amen.
subscribe button. Don't forget to repost. And if you have any social media, repost us. That will help us out a lot to get out there, to get this content out there,
Yeah.
and people to view it. Anything you want to tell them out there, Kevin?
Let's end it up with a prayer.
Oh, for sure.
Amen. Let's
All
end up with
right.
prayer. See, he knows.
He knows, it's the key. That's the
That's the
secret
key.
recipe. That's one
Amen.
of the secret formulas from the Faith Life, guys. So make sure you guys write that down. Who want to end us with the prayer,
Yeah,
Joey?
sure. Yeah. Dear, bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for everything you have done this year. Thank you